Hello, everybody, and welcome to a very special day here on Union Catholic Livestream. Today is our In the Vault Senior Farewell Show. I'm Jacob Metchport, joined here by Joe Atala, Megan Falvey, and Ryan Flork. Joe, how are we doing?
I'm doing great.
Megan?
Doing fantastic.
Flork?
Doing wonderful.
Well, guys, this is a very big day for us. A lot of us have been involved in this for a very long time. We have our farewell show now, and then the game at Somerset at 6 o'clock later on. So a very exciting day for Union Catholic, very exciting day for us here on Livestream. Just want to start off the show with talking about our experiences with Livestream. So Flork, if you want to start first on the end, you've been a tech guy, know a little bit of everything, so take us through your experience with the program.
Yeah, so I joined, first of all, I joined Livestream thinking it was UCTV. There was a tech role open for that, so I stuck with it. And so I learned the basics during the fall season of my sophomore year, and afterwards I just kept going with it. Felix Latini was the guy ahead of me for most of this time. He was the lead tech guy, but then this year came around and I was the guy in charge of all the tech stuff. So it's been quite a fun journey, honestly, because I don't know sports, and listening to these guys do sports from behind the board, it's quite a fun experience.
I mean, Flork is one of those guys that, we can't do this without. You don't see him much on camera, but you see him, he does everything from behind. You've had your moments on camera too, a couple times.
I've been here, some in the vault, sometimes I just pop in to say hi.
CYO championships.
Yeah, exactly. Some great moments. So, Megan's same question to you. Take us through your experience with Livestream.
So, my sophomore year, I decided to join because Mr. Ranio came up to me in religion and told me that I would be a good talker on video. So I gave it a chance, and here I am today, and that's what I'm going to college for.
All right, so take us through that decision, because I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to college for it. How has Livestream been the reason for you going to college for sports media?
I just love watching sports, and now that I've been talking about sports for 3 years, it's just been a no-brainer. That's what I want to do when I'm in college and for the rest of my life.
Well, Megan, you've been a great part of this program. You've done a great job with us. You've been like our rock for the past couple of years, always here, always willing to do everything. Megan's one of the only few of us that do PA during the basketball season, so I know that's something you enjoy a lot.
Yeah.
So, just another great piece. Talking about great pieces, Joe Atala.
Oh, hey.
How are we doing, man? Take us through your experience here with Livestream.
Well, I believe it was around baseball season, sophomore year. Jacob told me, hey, you should come out and do Livestream. And so I sat in for a couple games, listened, just checked out how it was. Then I really got active in junior year, and then senior year, where I am right now. I'd say overall, my time in Livestream has been a great time. I wouldn't say that I have as big of a role as somebody like Ryan or Jacob or maybe Megan, but I had a quiet role, but I think my role was very impactful.
Quiet role? Come on, you're one of the only guys that really knows baseball.
Yeah.
This guy is a baseball genius, sitting up there analyzing those games. And you've dabbled in a couple other sports as well, if I'm not mistaken.
I do
some basketball.
Some basketball, but really, I think it's the knowledge of the game of baseball that really makes you stand out. Joe, you've done a great job.
Wow, I'm blushing.
Well, I guess I'll take you through my journey a little bit. My brother graduated from Union Catholic in 2016. AJ Fusco told me, you don't have a choice. You're joining Livestream. I was quiet at first. I showed up here. I emailed Mr. Ranio, said I was interested. I was scared because I'm wasn't a very talkative person back then. But this program's really helped me break out of my shell. Now people could argue I talk too much.
Don't look at me like that.
But yeah, this program's done great things for me. And obviously I'm going to college for it, like I said. I agreed with Megan. So Livestream's really fueled that for me. It's something I want to do in my career. So it's just been great, breaking me out of my shell, teaching me some public speaking skills. And yeah, it's been a lot of fun too. So guys, I know we're going to see some videos from Brandon Schuster later on during the game, but take us through each of our favorite moments from UC Livestream. Ryan Flork, if you want to go first.
Okay, so favorite moments from UC Livestream. I guess I'll say the same thing I did on the interview. So I believe it was basketball season of my junior year. Like it was near the end of the basketball season. A basketball game between UC, very close. Ended up being a buzzer beater 3 from, I believe, Terrence Wood. Audience went wild, and I was just very proud to be there. And I would not have been there if I was not doing the board that day.
Megan, same question for you.
This was actually recently. Me and Mr. Aranio were doing senior day for girls softball, and at the very end, Bella Donnelly scored the winning run for Union Catholic, making the score 10-11. We were going crazy, we were going insane, and I would not trade that for the world.
Joe, I think I know yours.
Oh, boy.
But take us through it.
Pep rally.
Pep rally.
Mr. Aranio.
2023 Winter Pep Rally.
Mr. Aranio, game-winning bomb. That's all.
Game-winning shot.
It's a bomb. It was a bomb.
It was a bomb. Well, I mean, Frank Aranio from Deep 3. How about that? You remember that one.
You played it.
It's got the picture to prove it.
We'll see it later on.
Oh, yeah.
But I'll take you through my favorite moment now. Same as Ryan's. Well, I have a couple, but my favorite moment was that game-winning shot versus Union that year. I'm really propelled. Wow, that's a big word.
Whoa.
Really propelled that team's season. Obviously, go on to win the state championship. I think that was the game that really got the season going.
That was Keyshawn Winchester.
Keyshawn Winchester, that was it.
Okay, I was wrong.
They were 8-8, hit that shot, and just really took off from there. Paul, I'm sure you know about it.
Yeah, I remember it as it's really a turning point in the season.
Yeah, exactly. So it reminds me, and I think that's really the way that they went on that run.
Right in the corner.
Because what?
There.
It was probably 11, 12 game win streak after that. So it really got the season going. And then another one was when we went down to Camden Catholic to stream that game right from the floor. That was an awesome experience. Me, Elias, and Felix. Ryan, I don't remember.
I was not there.
No. Felix did the tech. It was me and Elias on the game.
Speaking of.
So yeah, that was awesome. That was
Let's go Rangers.
That was one of my favorite moments of all time. It was a great game, upsetting the 1 seed as the 5. So yeah, I mean, we have a whole show ahead of us. We're going to talk some pro sports, probably talk some more live stream later on with Mr. Aranio. But we'll take a short break here, and we will move on to baseball in just a few minutes.
Baseball.
And welcome back, everybody, involved. I'm Mr. Aranio, joined right now by Joseph Atala and Jacob Netraport. So we're going to talk some Major League Baseball. We are about a month and a half into the season. New York Yankees are playing really well. They're battling out with the Baltimore Orioles atop the American League East. We're going to talk some Mets as well. They're hanging in there around 500. So let's start off, talk about the Yankees. They've had a really good season so far, a lot of good things, a lot to like there. So why don't you guys take us through what the Yankees have been doing and why they've gotten off to this really good start in 2024.
Well, I think surprisingly, the biggest thing, I think Joe will agree with me because we talk about it all the time, the pitching of this team. They have the team ERA, this rotation ERA, 2.99 without Garrett Cole. So I think that shows you really how this team is, what are they right now, 23 and 13, I think? 24 and 13?
25 and 13.
Okay, 25 and 13. I mean, look, you look down the rotation. Nestor's been great. He's got a couple games here and there, but he's really got it going recently. Carlos Rodon, how about a bounce-back season? You know, he had that nightmarish start a couple days ago. Who was that first? I don't remember. The Orioles. His versus the Orioles. Gave up probably 6 or 7 runs, but other than that, very solid. Quality start after quality start. Clark Schmidt having another great season like he did last year. Luis Gil, I mean, a guy that hasn't pitched in a while because he's been hurt, but now that he's really started to get going a little bit, get more innings, he's been really great. Someone's gonna have to get the boot when he goes down to when Cole comes back. I don't know what's gonna happen with that. And I'm blanking on the 5th starter, Marcus Stroman. Marcus Stroman has been up and down. You know, bad teams he pitches really well. Good teams he struggles a little bit. But I think about 3.5 ERA. So really, what's got this team in this spot is the pitching. The pitching has been great. Bullpen's been great, like it's been for the past couple of years. Matt Blake doing a great job. So I think if you're really looking at this squad, the pitching is really what's gotten you here, where you are right now, and you're still awaiting the return of Garrett Cole.
I think for me, and as like a Yankees fan, I think most Yankees fans would agree, I think it's really like a good sign for the future that we have absolutely slaughtered the Astros, because they've been the thorn in our side for a very long time. They've been the thorn in playoffs, been the thorn in regular season. We just could not get over that hump of the Astros, and the fact that we're seeing the Astros regress and we're seeing the Yankees go on an incline, I think it's a good sign.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think beating the Astros in a 4-0 sweep to start the season was huge. Seeing that and
6-0 against the Astros.
Yeah, well, 6-0
again tonight,
and they've been not even just beating them; they've been killing the Astros. And the Astros are struggling, but
And they had a guy named Spaghetti on that list. That's
I saw that. I was wondering how to pronounce his name.
but beating up on the Astros in the opening series is huge. That really got this team going. But again, I mean, I know we've been talking high on them, but they have had their moments where they've been low. And I mean, the offense has shown that it's still the same team from last year at times. When Soto's not hitting, it seems like it's the very same offense that it was last year. Other than that, though, it's the pitching that really stands out to me. Like I said, pitching versus the Astros has always been a problem. Hitting against the Astros, pitching has been a problem. But when you put 7 runs up on Justin
Do you think
Verlander,
the pitching is overachieving? Do you expect them to
Yes.
regress to the mean?
I think they're overachieving right now, but if they've done
You're
it,
going to get Cole back.
they've done it for 35 games, so or more than that, 40 games, right?
I mean,
Hey, it's not a small sample. I mean, usually people say around Memorial Day you could really figure out what a team's about. That's enough of a sample size. Some people say like 45 games, which Memorial Day, I guess, it's going to be more than 45 games,
Yeah.
50 to 55, something like that. So they are almost 40 games into the season, right? I think it's like 38. They're around there. So, I mean, they're almost a quarter of the way through this regular season. So it's a good enough sample size where you get a feel, you get a read on what type of team they are. So, yeah, I mean, again, you're getting Cole back, so you're getting a boost in your rotation. You get your ace, you're getting the reigning Cy Young winner. But can these other guys keep up what they've been doing, or do you expect there to be a regression to the mean? But if you couple that, say they do regress a bit, but then you bring Cole in, if you kind of factor that all together, do you have a pitching staff that's going to continue to pitch at the same level that it's pitched, these first 6 weeks or so of the season?
I think so. I mean, you look at the guys that they brought in. Cole, obviously, well, he didn't bring him in, but Cole been there for a couple years, like you said, reigning Cy Young at the peak of his career, really, if you want to say that. And then Rodon is a guy that struggled in year one, but got paid the big money. He's making $27 million a year. Been great with the Giants. Been great with Chicago. Yeah, the White Sox. And a guy that likes big moments, big games, likes to pitch in those. Marcus Stroman, another guy with that attitude to play in New York. So I think, honestly, I don't see a regression coming. Maybe you see a regression coming from a guy like Luis Gil once the league starts to catch up to him. You know, he was a rookie 2022, out all of half of 2022, out all of half of 2022 and 2023. So really another chance for him to be a rookie for the league to have to catch up to him. So I think he'll probably regress a little bit. And Schmidt, I mean, looks like a guy, he's going to have probably low to mid-4 ERA, but he's going to go out there and give you a quality start. So
What about the bullpen?
that's where I think we could see some regression, you know, because there are guys in there that are you know, a lot of injuries in the bullpen. Wise got injured again for probably the third year in a row, and it's a big-time injury. So you got guys like, I can't even think of their names. Some of them I don't even know who they are.
Mariano Rivera's on the team.
Oh yeah.
No. Dennis Santana. Dennis Santana's been DFA'd like 6 or 7 times in
Maybe they
his
should
career.
get spaghetti.
He's been,
Marinaccio?
the Marinaccio's back. I mean, he's been good. He's been good in his career. You got
Holmes?
Clay Holmes. How about Clay Holmes?
He's failed it.
I mean, Clay Holmes has probably pitched, 15, 16 innings without giving up a run. But this is another guy that, you know, has been up and down his whole career. Got guys, Victor Gonzalez. There's a couple guys in there that are holding spots right now. But if you don't figure something out with them soon, it's gonna end up hurting you in the long run. So I think if you want,
Would you say the Yankees pitching staff, so rotation and bullpen, would you say that they have good depth?
yes, yeah.
Because that's so important. In order to, you need the quality, obviously. You need quality. But you need quantity. You need a lot of pitchers to get through a Major League Baseball season. I mean, it's a 26-man roster, but it's your 40-man. It's even beyond the 40-man. You need a lot of pitchers to get through a season. There's more injuries, it seems, now more than ever. You know, so you're going to have injuries. You hope that you don't have a ton, but there's a lot of pitching injuries.
Right.
So you gotta have that depth. I mean, they've been without their ace and been out without the reigning Cy Young winner.
Right.
So the Yankees have depth in their pitching staff, which is so key because a lot of teams don't have that.
Right, and another thing that I forgot to mention with that pitching staff is that not one of them has missed a start yet. They've all been healthy all year. So obviously injuries are,
Don't say that.
I mean, it's just the truth. It's just the truth. Injuries will catch up with you at some point. One game that they had to have a spot starter come up was the doubleheader versus the Guardians. Cody Poteet. Cody Poteet. Yes. He came up, pitched 6 scoreless innings versus the Guardians.
Was not familiar with this game, my bad.
There's depth. So yeah, and you got pitching prospects for days down there. Even with the Soto trade, you still have pitching prospects. Chase Hampton, Shane Green, guys like that. And obviously you lost a big piece in Michael King, but that's really showing to not have hurt the Yankees, which just makes that Soto trade even more impressive from Brian Cashman and Hal Steinbrenner.
I mean, this is kind of like, I was kind of thinking about this while you were talking, like, the starting rotation, none of them really throw particularly hard. So
Right.
like, because like normally like I'll say the Tommy John threshold is like 95 plus.
Right.
And like none of our starters really throw that hard. Besides maybe Rodon occasionally pumping like 97.
But see, the thing with Rodon this year is that he's taken some off of it. And I think that's been a big part of his game because last year with the 6.8 ERA on the season, I think he was walking a lot of guys, and I think he was just going too hard coming off the injury. I think this year Yankees are working him back up. Pitching coach, so yeah, I can't think of his name. Matt Blake, doing a better job with him this year, just building him back up to pitching those pitches that fast. Stroman, but you look at Stroman. This is a guy that's an off-speed pitcher, right? And I think that's a big part of what they're doing. And a guy like Heel, he's got I'm blanking on words. The speed, right? Yeah. Velocity, thank you. It's a balanced pitching staff, and like what Joe said, I mean, they have a lot of guys that aren't forcing strikes, aren't, throwing as hard as they can, like they had in previous years. I think Stroman's the biggest part of that. I think he throws, 4 off-speed pitches?
slurve, spreader, some other stuff.
Well, I think you're seeing a change in pitching philosophy throughout baseball. I mean, watching the Red Sox all the time, their philosophy now is going away from velocity, and they're throwing a lot of off-speed pitches, breaking balls. They're focusing on spin in the zone, so it's attacking the strike zone, but it's creating as much spin as you can. So it's going away from velocity, and it's focusing on lots of spin and movement. So yeah, I mean you're seeing a shift overall in baseball in terms of how teams are approaching pitching.
Right. I mean, we've talked a lot about pitching, and maybe we want to move on to the offense. You want to?
Well, talk about the Soto factor. I think that's the biggest thing to talk about, and I take it from there. And I know Judge has struggled, but Soto and what he has been able to do with the Yankees and how big of an impact he's had.
Well, I mean, you look at Juan Soto, right? Like I said it. I touched on it before. This offense is shows a lot of signs of that same team from last year. And Joe, I think you'd agree with me there. But the common factor is that Juan Soto is in the lineup, and he changes everything. I mean, this guy is hitting 340. He's got an OPS over 1, 9 homers, 30-something RBIs, 33 RBIs, I believe. Did I get those numbers right?
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah. I mean, this guy's been incredible. I don't know what the WAR is. It might be over 1 already. But he's just having an incredible season. And he's got the attitude to play in New York. And he wants to be here. And he wants to win with this team. And that's...
Yeah, it's definitely over 1. It's 2.1.
His WAR is 2.1 already. He's added 2 wins to the Yankees. It's an incredible season so far, and it's just going to continue to be great. He's a guy that's going to go out there. He's going to play every day. I think he's only missed three or four games, not even, maybe 3 games so far. Yeah, I mean, he just does a great job. And it's starting to show through some of these other guys. I mean, Stanton has more protection in the lineup. That was key. Judge has some protection in the lineup, and you saw that really caused him to struggle a little bit. Because last year he was the guy. So he got off to a slow start. He's hitting about 300 over his last 10 games, a couple homers, got the OPS back over 8, well over 8. So he's starting to come through a little bit. I think it was an adjustment period for Judge. Some people said he was hurt with the ab injury like we saw in spring training. But no, I think it was just an adjustment period of not being that guy in the lineup. You know, you had to do everything last season when you played, where Soto gives him a lot of protection in the lineup.
Soto's got over 1,000 OPS.
Yeah.
Yep. 338 batting average.
It's crazy.
His career OPS is 950, which is incredibly good.
That's just- it just
that's
sounds
Hall
like
of Fame,
a-
and now he's
And
over
he's
1,000.
25 years old.
It sounds like a fake stat. Like, that's just crazy.
He's-
Over 1,000 is great. Not quite Barry Bonds when he was like 1,300. I think it's 1,250 or something like that. But yeah, I mean, you're over 1,000 OPS. That's the elite of the elite.
Right. He's at 170 homers at 25. I mean, this guy's been playing for 5 or 6 years. He's been playing since he's 19.
I mean, but like realistically, it's part of his game to walk. If he changed the entire part of his game to just be straight slugger, he definitely have more homers. But that's just part of his game to walk.
Right. I mean, you saw this is a guy that hit 35 homers last year, but also walked more than he struck out. And it's an incredible player. It's a generational player. And if you're Brian Cashman, I mean, you made the trade, you did what your fans wanted, now you got to sign the man, right? Because you show what he does.
They'll sign him.
Give him the keys to the city right now.
I said they'll sign him.
Oh, they'll sign him. I thought you said don't sign him. Here's what
Well, I hope they don't sign him, but that's my own
Juan Soto,
It's my own Red Sox.
What more do you need to see, right?
fan bias.
He's hitting.
There's no bias.
He's hitting.
Eli-
He's
Eli
done
Engel
something. Soto's actually been,
That's a rule.
because his like kind of like his outlier on his whole career is his defense. His defense
played
is
well
not that
defensively,
good.
too.
But this year he's had a great arm, great range, and he's just been excellent in the field, which
Right.
was his biggest like. I don't really like that part of Soto.
And as much as I've been talking about Juan Soto, I don't think he's the key piece of this team's success. He's one of them. But I think the guy that really is going to show us what this team can really be is Alex Verdugo.
Oh my god.
Oh my God.
Oh no.
Red Sox
No?
legend.
When you were just leading up to that, I'm like, I hope he's not going to say Verdugo. Are you serious?
I'm very serious.
He's actually
Stop.
so great.
This guy has
Stop.
been incredible. Okay?
Just wait.
He's
wait.
worth one more.
Let it play out.
He's hitting 264. He's got an OPS over
It's 781.
Yeah, that's
Come
fine.
on.
781.
I already pulled up his
Why did
stats.
you know?
I was going to bring him up,
Yeah.
and then you were saying the key, and I'm like, no.
I think I shouldn't say he's the key, but he's going to be a key piece for this
Well, you
team.
just say a key piece.
Right. I think he's Boone's had him hitting fourth a couple times.
Well, it is key that they get production out
Right.
of him. I just don't think you can rely on him.
He's been incredible.
I watched
defensively.
enough of him.
And again, I'm just going to say, you know him better than we do. You've seen him play with the Red Sox for a couple of years, but I think he's going to be a key piece for this team, alongside Anthony Volpe, who got off to a great start.
Volpe,
Yeah, got off to a great start with Glaber being terrible at the game. Moved up to that leadoff spot, waiting for LeMahieu to come back. I mean, he's going to be a guy that's another key piece. He's been slumping as of late, but year two, got off to a really good start. The league caught up to him. He just has to figure out how to catch up to the league, right? And I think another guy is that real key piece is going to be LeMahieu coming back. He's your leadoff hitter. He's going to lead off every day. Aaron Boone's done a new thing this year where he's keeping the same lineup, which is, I think, huge in baseball, is keeping the lineup the same as much as you can. And I think LeMahieu's going to slot in leadoff spot third base every day as long as he produces. And if he's fully healthy, he's going to produce. It's been a couple rough 2 years for him, but he really hasn't been healthy. A toe injury really screwed him up last year. But I
he
think
doesn't even have to be batting champ good like he was.
Yeah,
He's
exactly.
running in both leagues, right?
Yeah.
One with the Rockies and the Yankees, but
he had 364 in 2019 with the Yankees.
yeah, he had an incredible year.
Yeah. And he had 26 homers.
It's the first time since Coors Field, but
Yeah. So I don't know if you're going to get that production from him, but you're going to get more production than you're getting from John Birdie, who really hasn't been too bad. And that's a good pickup for the Yankees, with only giving up Ben Rortvedt. But I don't think Birdie's an everyday player. And I think Oswaldo Cabrera is a guy that got off to a really hot start, slumping as of late, slumped, and then started to heat up again. I think he's another guy that could be really good for this team, but I think he's better served off the bench. Coming in, he can play literally every position except catcher. We've seen him in his career play right, center, left, first base. He started a game at first base the other day. I didn't even know he could do that. Second, he's a shortstop. He came up as a shortstop, and he plays third all the time. I'm sure he could catch if he tried. That's a guy that's a lot better off your bench, especially if the bat's going to be there. So I think that Verdugo plays a big part. Volpe obviously plays a big part, and LeMahieu returning is going to be really that key for the Yankees.
So the Yankees, in terms of where they stand in the American League East, it's them and the Orioles battling out. Would you guys agree those are the two teams that are going to battle? I don't think any of the three teams are going to be in the mix. Red Sox, Rays, Blue Jays. It's going to be Orioles and Yankees battling for that top spot. Maybe the other teams could battle for a wild card spot. I think that's debatable, and you could argue that for each of the other three teams
I agree.
in the American League East. But Orioles, Yankees, who's the better team?
The Orioles are the better team, right? I mean, they won 100 games last year. This is a young team. Gunnar Henderson's been incredible to start the season. And you just look up and down that roster and up and down that lineup, and every guy is just having a really good year. And it's just, I think they're the more complete team than the Yankees. I think what factors in, though, is the Yankees have a lot more experience. So maybe come playoff time, things change a little bit. But I think right now, regular season, the Orioles are the better team. Joe? And one more thing. The Corbin Burns trade, huge for them. That gets you a certified ace. Grayson Rodriguez wasn't ready for that. Kyle Bradish is not an ace. He's a good pitcher. He's not an ace. Corbin Burns is huge for
If
them.
they didn't get Burns, I would say the Yankees are better.
Yeah.
But with Burns,
Bradish,
the
Rodriguez.
Orioles are the better team, but it's not by a lot. It's close.
No.
Experience factor, although the Orioles gained experience last year, they're still a young, fairly inexperienced team. But the experience of getting to the postseason, they got swept, but at least they have that. Where the Yankees didn't make the playoffs last year, but they have a lot of guys who have postseason experience.
Yeah, so I think the Yankees the Orioles are the better team, but I think you look at playoff time. I think you could argue that the Yankees have the advantage there. I mean, we're getting way ahead of ourselves, but the experience obviously is huge in MLB playoffs and any playoffs. But I think you could argue the Yankees have the advantage come later on.
I don't know if either team has the postseason advantage because the Yankees have more guys with experience, but do they? I can't think off the top of my head. Do they have? Is there anybody in the roster? Well, Cole Cole was in the World Series with the Astros. Who do they have? Has anybody won a World Series on the Yankees? Soto. Soto won.
Rizzo won a World Series.
Rizzo, yes, they do have some guys.
Talk
Yeah.
about a key piece. Rizzo, too.
Yeah, so Rizzo won with the Cubs, Soto with the Nationals. So the experience edge goes to the Yankees, but it's not like there's this huge gap.
Verdugo went on that run with the Red Sox a few years back, 2021. It went to the
It was a nice run.
ALCS.
It's a nice run.
Yeah.
Don't
Deep playoff experience.
don't overvalue Verdugo.
I like him a
He's
lot.
very streaky. He's
like him a
he's
lot.
a decent major league outfielder. Defensively, he's very good. Overall player, to me he's an average player. He's very streaky. There's times where he's really going well, and he could really produce. He could even, not that he has to carry the Yankees lineup, but he could kind of carry a lineup from time to time. But he's very streaky. Just let it play out with him.
I'd say the only thing about the Orioles that kind of puts them behind, I'd say their bullpen. You know, you took huge. I mean, like, I can't even emphasize how massive of a hit Felix Bautista not being in is. It's ridiculous how good he was last year. I think Craig Kimbrell, you know, he's gonna be a temporary solution, but I do not trust him at all.
Is he closing games for them?
I believe he is their closer.
Yeah, that's
That's
tough.
a big problem.
Yeah. I'm sure Yunier Cano is getting some closes, too.
Yeah, probably. I mean,
Kimbrell cost the Phillies last year.
Yeah.
You can't rely on him as a closer or any sort of significant piece
Right.
in the bullpen. I mean, you could have him on your roster; he's depth, but you can't have as a closer or primary setup man.
Yeah.
I mean, but the rotation is good with what's his name, Kyle Bradish coming back from the IO. People, I don't know why, but people kind of forget that he placed third in Cy Young last year, and so that's great. Burns, Bradish, G-Rod. I don't even know who else is on there.
So how about we do a general MLB evaluation? Let's work on a top 10. Who are the top 10 teams in Major League Baseball right now?
Dodgers, Braves.
It's tough to think of.
So are Dodgers, Braves, Phillies clearly the top three?
I think that's like
Not
the
necessarily in that
general
order.
consensus. Yeah. No particular order, but yeah, they're up
Yeah,
there.
I'd say so. And then you go 4, 5, 6, not in any order.
I mean, I don't want to.
Orioles are in there.
Orioles and Yankees are 4 or 5?
4, 5.
Yeah, I don't know if the. No. Oh, I was so confused. I'd say like
I mean, those are definitely the top 5.
Is it crazy to say Guardians 6?
Guardians have been off to a great start.
To me, there's such a separation. Like you have, to me, the top 3 are in their own category.
Yeah.
But then the Orioles and Yankees are knocking on the door. But that's clearly the top 5. After that, I look at the teams. I know the Guardians have played very well.
And they have the first pick, which is another conversation, but
What a lottery.
Rangers,
Rangers have kind of been.
The Guardians have the first pick
they have the first pick in the MLB draft.
because of the lottery.
Yeah. And they have one of the best records in baseball.
Yeah, I mean, they're a small market team, so
Give it to them.
I mean, I'm looking at the teams. It's like it's just a big drop off
Yeah.
after those top 5.
Why don't we pull up a top 10 and we'll talk about that?
MLB top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you got the top 5, and you would figure, okay, the World Series is going to include 2 of those 5 teams. But you know how baseball works. Teams go on run. They go on runs. The Arizona Diamondbacks won 84 games last year. They wind up in the World Series. The Rangers won 90 games, but they were wild card, and nobody before the playoffs thought they were going to go on the run they did. They won the World Series. So, you know, there's always that door open to teams getting in the playoffs and then making a run. The Phillies a couple years ago, they were the 3rd wild card in the National League, and they got to Game 6 of the World Series with the Astros. So, who's that next team? Who's the team you say, let's call them a sleeper because they're not in that top 5, and I think it's clear who the top 5 teams are. Is it the Guardians, or is there other teams that we could throw in that mix and say, you know what, that team, that's a legit team, and they're going to make the playoffs, and they're going to be somebody that
I think the Rangers-
is going to be a force. You got to include the Rangers in there.
Rangers-
They're the defending champions. They're in first place.
Seattle.
Could we give some love to my glorious
City Royals?
Detroit Tigers?
Okay. Scoot Ball off to a great
Scoot
start.
ball.
The American League Central. I guess I think the Guardians are good.
Yeah.
And they actually, they're. I mean, you know, I watch the Red Sox almost every night, almost every game. But besides them, I've seen Cleveland a lot because they played the Red Sox 2 series already, which the two teams are done playing each other. But I guess it was 6 or 7 games. So I saw those games, seeing Cleveland play. They're a good team.
Yeah.
I mean they have a nice roster, and I think they're for real in terms of the American League Central. I mean, I would say they're probably going to win the American League Central.
Kansas City Royals are a sneaky, solid team. I don't think they hold up for the whole year, but I think they're an up-and-coming team. And I think there's a shot that they could get close to playoffs.
Is it a 4-team race in the American League Central? I mean,
3 or 4.
I mean, the division is like it's such a weird division that
is
like,
anybody
I feel like anything? Could
is
happen.
anybody any good? Like I would say, I think the Guardians are good.
Yeah, they're good.
But are any of those other teams? I never believe in Minnesota.
I mean, Minnesota has been pretty streaky. I won't lie. They've been going on some good streaks. They had like what, a 12-game win streak or something like that.
yeah.
Yeah, they started poorly. Yeah, they won 11 or 12 in a row.
Yeah. And they've had some good starts out of their starters. For some reason, Pablo Lopez has just kind of been.
But not the
weird.
Mariners. They got good pitching.
But no, it's actually really weird with the Mariners. The Mariners pitching, besides,
This is a team that I think could be really good at baseball.
they could be really good, but I don't know, something about them. They're just sucking right now.
I picked them to go to the World Series before the year.
Yeah, I mean,
I still think they
I
can.
still
Because
see
if it's
it.
not the Orioles or the Yankees, which again,
Yeah.
teams could go on a run.
Yeah.
I think they're one game behind Texas. There's really a drop off after the top 5.
Yeah.
It's a big split this year, but again, there's gonna be a couple teams where come October they're in it and they get hot. You know, trade deadline, that's a big factor. Like right now it's May 9th. Trade deadline's July 30th.
Yeah.
So you got to see what these teams look like after the July 30th deadline. So some of these teams, if they hang in there and they're buyers, they get the pieces they need, then all of a sudden it's time to go on a run.
Right. This team has no shot, but I want to give them some love.
A's.
4 games out of first place. The Oakland Athletics have been off to a very solid start for that organization.
Yeah.
That's enough talk.
Yeah, enough of the A's, but
I just want to shout them out.
they've done a really nice job.
Hey, shout out the White Sox. No, I'm playing.
It looked like they were going to challenge the 62 Mets, but they're 18 and 21. I remember they were 17 and 17.
Yeah.
Brewers.
How about the Mets?
Okay.
They're the local team. Let's not neglect the Mets. 18 and 18.
It's weird. I
Are
watched
they?
Spit on the
Are,
Mets.
what's their ceiling?
their ceiling is
They're obviously not going to win the National League East. They should finish in third.
Maybe like 82,
84.
82, 84, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say 84. If I had to put a number on it.
Diamondbacks were the third wild card 84 last year. So
Yeah.
I think the Mets are a factor.
Their ceiling is the 6th seed.
The rotation is. I was going to say something. The rotation is horrible. Absolutely atrocious. But Luis Severino hasn't been that bad. He's been pretty good.
Severino's been bad. Jose Buto. I watched Jose Buto pitch when I went to the Doc Gooden retirement day. Number retirement. He pitched a wonderful game. No, my dad is a big Mets fan, big Doc Gooden guy. I wanted to go watch that. I knew it was a fun day. I mean, the team is a fun team to watch. It really is. They battled back in that game. It's a fun team.
I mean, like the Mets lineup on paper, I'm not going to say incredible, but it's very
Solid,
good.
very
It is
solid.
very solid.
Nimmo, Marte, Lindor, who's got off to an awful start, but it really got going. Alonso struggling a little bit. It's a solid lineup.
Are they going to sign him?
Alonso?
Yeah. Should they sign him? Are they going to sign him?
I think you see how this season goes. I mean, if you're still in a hole at the end of the season, you finish.
if you're sellers, you trade him.
Send him to the
Does
Cubs.
his contract end this year?
It's up after this year.
All right, yeah, I think you see where you're at the deadline. If you're making a push for the playoffs, keep him. If you're
I feel like it's not guaranteed. I mean, I feel like they're going to hang in there.
All right.
There's not enough good teams. It's in the National League. It's the dynamite teams, which I think are the 3 best teams in baseball, and you guys agreed.
Yeah.
Phillies, Braves, Dodgers, and then who is it? It's like
The Washington Nationals.
so so Phillies, Braves, whoever doesn't win the division is going to be the first wild card.
right.
So you got 2 other wild card spots. It's like, well, who's gonna take those spots? Why can't the Mets be a factor? So then at the trade deadline, if they're in striking distance or they're in a playoff position, it's like, well, I think you got to go for it.
I agree.
No Padres? Question mark?
20-20. I mean, they're in the mix.
They're in the mix, and they have a
That,
great
that
rotation.
Luis Arise trade is big for them.
Oh yeah, he went
I
4
think-
for 4 in their first game.
Yeah.
I think this is a team that could make cause some damage too.
Yeah, they could definitely be a playoff team.
And Dylan
you could argue they're a favorite to be a wild card, but not win the National League West.
Definitely not. Dodgers gonna run that for decades.
All right, gentlemen. So we'll wrap up the baseball segment,
Yeah.
and we'll be back in a moment. Continue on with the In the Vault Senior.
Welcome back, everybody, in the vault, and to my right, joined by Union Catholic legend Elias Engel. Elias, how we doing?
I'm doing amazing.
Well, it's great to have you back. Also, still joined by Joe Atala. We're gonna talk NFL here. NFL draft. We haven't talked about it yet. I mean, guys, a fun draft. A lot of craziness happened. But I think that we'll talk about some teams that won the draft, some teams that didn't do too well in the draft. Let's start with that top 5. The Bears, right? Select Caleb Williams. From at all surprised?
No, but I think it's more of what we can see from them coming from this, especially the fact that they had 2 first-round picks, I believe.
Right.
So, I mean, getting Caleb Williams was definitely the must after trading Justin Fields, and really just trying to reform the whole offense and getting Keelan Allen. And so now you're really loading up for this team to do really, really good.
You're right. I think this team could be a sneaky team going into next year. You have to see how Williams plays, obviously, but I mean, if this guy lives up to the potential, I think he could be this could be a really solid team. Could they fight for the NFC North, Joe? I mean, your Packers are in the division
as the
NFC North
Packers
analyst.
representative. No.
I mean, no. Be honest.
Okay, but like,
Do you think they could compete for the division?
I feel like I don't think they can compete with the division, especially when you're talking Lions and Packers.
I think all
the
4 of
Packers-
those teams could compete for a playoff
I don't
spot.
think the Vikings can do anything.
I think compete for a playoff spot.
Yes, they can.
Oh, no, they
Yes, they can.
They got
Playoff
Aaron
spot.
Jones. Who cares?
Not the division, a playoff spot. I think all 4 of those teams can fight for a playoff spot. Right?
I don't think the Vikings can fight for a playoff spot, but I think
Even with the weak NFC?
I still think I don't think that the Vikings are gonna do it. I think they're gonna finish
don't think
last,
they have a
but they're
chance in the
gonna
division.
be. Oh, I don't think no. They
But
absolutely.
if they go 9-8, they can make the playoffs.
I mean, we made playoffs last year at 9-8.
Exactly. They can make it as a 6 seed. The NFC's weak. You know what I'm saying? I think this whole division can fight for a playoff spot, but I think there's only 2, maybe 3 for the division. I don't know if the Bears are there yet, though.
Nah.
A lot.
I think we'll look at how the first 5 games go, and that's when we'll really know how good this team really is.
Yeah.
Because you're looking at a team that is definitely bolstering up to try
The
and make
defense has been good for a couple years.
Oh, definitely. But the thing is that also with the defense being good as how they've been this whole time, you really start to notice, all right, like all the cracks through the defense, and then you really start to notice really the defense shutting down more. So we'll see if the defense can hold up. But now that with a brand new offense, it's more of can they get off to a really good start.
Right.
That's one of my big things. And also throughout the middle of the season when they finally figure out how this offense works, how will they adjust to it as well?
Right. I mean, they had 2 picks in that first round. I'm trying to find where the other one was. At 9, that's their pick. Roman Odunze. So a very talented wide receiver to pair with Allen and pair with is DJ Moore still there? No, they traded him to the Panthers. I'm crazy. Yeah, that's how they got that.
Not even remember.
That's how they got that pick. So yeah, I mean, this is the team. No, did DJ Moore get traded from the Panthers to the Bears?
I thought he was Panthers.
DJ Moore was
Panthers to Bears.
Yes.
Right. So yeah, I mean,
we're
look at that
going
team. That seems really solid. The running back room, I don't remember who's there, but I think it's a team that you just seeing, depending how it goes, I think could be a really solid team. I'll move on to pick number 2. Any surprise here with seeing Jaden Daniels picked?
For the
Commanders, Washington
Commanders?
Commanders.
No, not really. I think he was definitely voted to be one of the better players in this draft. Obviously, I believe Heisman finalist.
Right.
And I think it's definitely one of those big things. But I think it's a really good pick. I don't think it's going to help him at all.
I agree.
They really have to bolster up their offensive line, and also especially with the turf that they are using, you really have to bolster him up so then he doesn't get injured. And I've already heard a lot of comparisons to him to RG3 already. He hasn't even played a game yet.
I think this is a very good football player. I think he's pure talent. But I think for an organization like the Commanders, I think Drake May would have been a better option because he's more of your quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Like more of a Brady rather than a Lamar Jackson. You know, he's going to stand in the pocket and throw the football where Jaden Daniels is going to be all over the place. And Washington doesn't have the O-line for that. They don't have the field for that. And it sounds ridiculous to be talking about turf, but when you're in that bad of a stadium, it plays into it. So I think Daniels is the better talent, but I think May is the better quarterback, which will bring us to the New England Patriots selecting Drake May. Joe, do you think that's the quarterback of the future? You know, they traded away Mac Jones, so they spent a first-round pick on a couple years ago. So do you think May is that guy for them going down the line?
I mean, anything's better than Mac Jones, honestly, but I mean,
we don't see the Patriots do this, though, taking a quarterback in the first round. This is something that they haven't done since Drew Bledsoe.
I was expecting them to take a punt returner.
Belichick's not the GM anymore.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. He's a future Packer, by the way. I think it's good, but I do think the Patriots still have their problems. Like they don't really have. He doesn't have anyone to truly throw to. Doesn't have anyone to run the ball off to. The defense, it's the Patriots. They're gonna have good defense. But overall, I think it's a solid pick. I don't have any real complaints about it.
Next, I mean, Marvin Harrison Jr. going to the Cardinals. I don't think anyone's really surprised here. They didn't need the quarterback. At that point, there really wasn't a quarterback available. Penix, obviously, but we'll get to that. Marvin Harrison Jr., a weapon for Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray gonna need a bounce back season down there, but I think Marvin Harrison is arguably the best player in this draft. I think he has the potential to be a very good wide receiver. I was spending the 4th overall pick on him. So Elias, what do you think on that?
I think it definitely helps out this team a whole lot, especially with losing DeAndre and having to really bolster up that the wide receiver core because we already know how good Kyler Murray can be.
Right.
And it's one thing to be a really good player, but to have really good people around you as well, and especially loading up on the wide receiver core, it will help him out a lot. And it's one of those where the Cardinals are trying to get back into that playoff spot. Obviously, things have gone downhill since their one make against the Rams. But now you're really trying to bolster to get back into that. And I think what the Cardinals need is more of a retool, not a rebuild.
All right, 5, the Chargers select Joe Alt. We won't talk much about it. It's a lineman, but it really gives you gives you that's the Chargers.
No, that works. No,
Yeah,
that's
great. Gives you protection for Herbert. It's exactly what you needed.
The reason why they made that pick is because also he got injured and was out for the rest of the season.
Right.
And that's and when things like that happen, I think it's one of those where like, hey, we need to wake up and get these O-line, which another team actually did as well.
Right. Moving on to 6. I know there's a lot of Giants fans scared that the Giants were going to pull a Giants move and take J.J. McCarthy at 6. They do the right thing. Take Malik Neighbors. What do you think of that pick?
I think I love it. I love it as well. And I think one of the bigger things is that I heard, it was reported that the Giants were trying to trade up to get Drake May.
Yeah.
Which, to me, in that case, doesn't really make sense. We would have put ourselves in the same spot the Falcons are currently in.
Yeah.
And it's not bad, and I think going that way is definitely a really good idea. But also, I fully believe that the Giants' problems wasn't fully on quarterback. Yes, they do not have the elite that guy, but there's so much more to fix with this team than just quarterback. And I still think that Daniel can at least push us to a playoff spot. He just needs to be a lot better at himself and the people around him as well.
Well, hopefully Neighbors has the attitude to play in New York, because we saw the post-draft press conference where he said that he hadn't spoken to Daniel Jones yet. Maybe he was nervous. I don't know, his first press conference, but I think he's a really solid player.
You know, my big thing with New York teams is that usually when teams go to New York, or usually when players go to New York, it's one of those where like, oh, money and all that other stuff. When really the big market teams need players that will play for them and want to be there instead of just for the money.
Right.
And I think you'll get that a lot with smaller market teams, because when you go there and you play good, the fans will love you, and also the big markets are struggling to find those kind of people. Like, what is it? The Knicks got their guys, the Rangers got their guys, the Yankees have their guys, and now it's the Giants' time.
And you see New York sports is in a really good spot right now.
Yes,
they're really starting to. Yeah, well, I mean, you know what? We talked about the Mets last segment. I think there's a chance they could fight for the playoffs. So, like, the Mets are in a solid spot. The Yankees are in a good spot. Giants, building something up. Jets, you don't know. Could be in a very good spot. Could not be. We'll talk about that pick, too. And then Rangers in a good spot. So, it's good to see New York sports starting to get up out of the hole. Now for the most questionable pick, one of the most questionable picks in NFL history. Atlanta Falcons signed Kirk Cousins, 4 years, $100 million guaranteed. One of Kirk's bigger reasons for leaving the Vikings was because they were talking about drafting quarterback. The Falcons know that, obviously, because he's telling you that when you're having negotiations, and then you go out there and take Michael Penix Jr. when not only Michael Penix Jr. is the oldest quarterback in the draft at 24 years old. Cousins is signed for 4 years, so that means when he starts, he'd probably be around 28. Joe.
I guess they're trying to do some Packers magic. You know what I'm
But
saying?
you look at it, and Roman Odunze was still there. Olu Fashanu, I don't know how to say his name, Fashanu was still there. The tackle, great quarterback, Brock Bowers. So, weapons for your team, and that's what you need. And you go with the quarterback that's not going to play.
I don't know why. I just had a memory of like after that pick came in. What was it? The GM was trying to explain to the owner why he made that pick. It was the funniest thing ever. He had his hands out and everything. He was pleading for his job.
I do agree that they are trying to do something similar with how the Packers are doing it. And if you want me to be honest, we have gone away from that, especially with starting rookies right out the gate or after 5 games. Where I do agree that they should definitely sit out maybe a season or two and learn under somebody. But here's the problem with all that. Kirk Cousins is obviously not trying to teach somebody. He's trying to play.
He's trying to play and win, yeah.
And I think I think that's the problem with this situation is that you drafted a quarterback who's supposed to be your young new star, which is cool and all, but he definitely needs to learn behind somebody. Right. Kirk Cousins is not your guy for them to be learning behind, especially with also how more of the team is built as well. You definitely needed a lot of holes on defense, Edge rushing, they're not really going to get a whole lot of that. And I don't think the Falcons are going to do good this year. And I don't think it's because of talent. I think it might be because of drama as well.
I agree. So that'll end going through the picks. But let's each, before we end the segment, each pick a team that we think won the draft. Joe, if you want to start, which team do you think won the NFL draft this year? And that's all 7 rounds, not the first round or the second round. Just who do you think won the draft?
I mean, call me biased, but I'm going to say the Packers definitely got a huge draft.
Yeah.
I think the Packers, they had a couple steals here and there. We addressed basically every single issue we've had, and we doubled it, and we got a couple steals. I think the Packers are definitely up there for getting the best draft.
Well, I'm going to continue the bias, but I'm actually not being biased here. I genuinely think the Pittsburgh Steelers had arguably the best draft or one of the best drafts. And I'm being 100% serious here. Because you needed O-line, right? You traded away Pickett, and you rebuilt your quarterback room. Bring in Wilson, and then you bring in Justin Fields to learn behind him. But you revamped the whole line. Troy Fautanu, he's Samoan. You know I love Samoans. I think that he's going to be a great player for this team. Zach Frazier, they get in the second round. That's your center. And Fautanu, I forgot to mention about him, can play every position on the line. That's 2 great linemen, 2 linemen that can start right away. And you go and you look at round 3, you get Roman Wilson out of Michigan. A great wide receiver, a guy that's going to complement George Pickens. Later rounds, linebacker, got a couple corners as well. I'm not being biased here. I really think they had a great draft. They went to the positions that they needed to. I think seeing 1 and 2 be 2 linemen, it's boring, right? But a lot of people wanted Kool-Aid. A lot of people wanted them to trade up for Kool-Aid McKinstry.
I wanted Kool-Aid.
But they went with the 2 linemen, and that they stuck to what they needed, and I think it's going to pay off. And you got really good players later in the rounds. Mel Kiper, who you can have opinions on. Some people think Mel Kiper's an idiot. Some people think he's a genius. I'm personally indifferent on it. But he said Peyton Wilson, who they got in the 4th round, is a first-round talent. So I think they did a wonderful job on the draft. And completely unbiased. Elias, go ahead.
I mean, for me, I'm going to go with the obvious one here. I definitely think Chicago won that one. And
Definitely an option.
And my biggest reasons are that they filled up holes that they needed to, enough to the point where you have them, you have people thinking that they will be in a playoff spot. I think they perfectly matched what they needed to do, especially in the earlier rounds. They've you got your quarterback and you got a wide receiver, and obviously those 2 guys will be rookies, so they have their whole careers to really build up on what they have. Now with that, yes, I think they won the draft, but they definitely have a lot to work on with these picks that they chose.
All right, well, with it being, what time is it? About 4:10 here. That'll do it for us here on the live stream farewell show. We'll talk a little bit more later about this being, our farewell event. We still have a couple games, but we'll talk about it a little later before the Somerset game. But join us 6 o'clock, or we'll go on about 5:30 over at Somerset. It's going to be a great night. Union Catholic versus Elizabeth Division on the line. Very exciting game.
Comeback season.
So we will see you a little bit later, in about 2 hours for Somerset.